Hey guys, and welcome back to another weekly recap. In the weekly recap, I like to go over any news related to the old school RuneScape community this week. Now this week we actually don't have a game update, and that's due to the upcoming Deadman Reborn tournament. So today I thought it'd be helpful to cover everything related to Deadman Reborn. I did touch on it a bit during the Summer reveal, however it's a huge update. There are a ton of changes, and there's been like 4 sets of revisions and answers given over the last couple of weeks, so I think it would be helpful to cover it. As always guys, if you do enjoy the weekly recaps, always appreciate a like in the video. It really helps my video get recommended to others, so everyone else can be introduced to the joys of Deadman mode. Anyway guys, let's get started. So the Deadman mode tournament is back with Deadman Reborn. It's been a fair while since we've had one of these tournaments. The last one happened back in May of 2020, and this makes it one of the longest stints without a Deadman mode tournament ever since the inception of the event. Now each Deadman mode tournament is a little bit different than the last, and this one is no different, and I would say Deadman Reborn has some of the larger changes ever made to Deadman mode. And let's start off here with some of the biggest changes. So the core ideas of Deadman mode aren't changing too much. PvP is enabled everywhere, barring a few safe zones. Experience rates are going to be greatly increased, and dying is going to be very punishing. So let's start off by having a look at death in Deadman mode. Now previously when you died in Deadman mode, you would have a huge penalty to your experience, as well as potentially losing a grand majority of your items. However, in Deadman Reborn, one of the biggest changes is actually to introduce a 3-life system, and this is how it's going to work. So every player who starts Deadman mode is going to have 3 lives. If you die in PvP combat, you're going to lose a life. However, if you accidentally die to a cow in Lumbridge, the death is going to be the exact same as in the main game, and you're not going to lose a life. Now that said, if you die in a PvP death and somebody kills you, all of the items that you had equipped are going to go to the player that defeated you, alongside a bank key containing the top 10 most valuable item stacks from your bank. Now continuing forward from other Deadman mode tournaments is the idea of a safety deposit box. This box would allow you to store items in it and would be kind of a safeguard against wiping your entire bank if you died. However, in Deadman Reborn, if you lose your final life in PvP, the contents of your safety deposit box plus the remaining most valuable items from your bank is going to go to the PKer, so you're going to lose pretty much everything after your 3rd life is lost. Now that said, you're not going to lose any experience until you've lost your 3rd life, so it's going to be a little bit less punishing there. Now if you are unfortunate enough to lose all of your lives, you are going to respawn in the safe zone with all of your lives restored, so 3 again. That said, your entire bank is going to be wiped. Your combat experience is going to be fully reset, which means you're back down to level 3 again. You're only going to lose 10% of your skilling experience, so non-combat experience, and all of your quest progress is not going to get reset or experience or anything like that. So overall, a very interesting new system. Another new concept with Deadman Reborn is the idea of combat level worlds. So to keep things a bit more fair, the Deadman mode worlds are going to be divided into combat level brackets, and you're only going to be able to log into that world if you're within that combat level range. So there's going to be 4 different brackets: level 3 to 35, 36 to 70, 71 to 100, and 101 to 126. Now dividing the worlds into combat brackets is not only to help prevent players from getting absolutely decimated by a very high level account, it's also going to help determine the experience rate you're going to get. Now regardless of the Deadman mode world that you are in, all of your skills are going to get a 10 times experience multiplier. However, any combat experience is going to be further increased based on the world that you are in. So that's going to scale from a regular 10 times multiplier up to 25 times if you're in the highest combat bracket world. Now an additional mechanic that is unlocked based on the combat total level world that you are in are automatic quest unlocks. In Deadman Reborn, on a new account, you're going to get a certain amount of quests done, mostly just early game quests that are required for certain unlocks. Once you get into the 36 to 70 total level worlds, you're going to get quests like Animal Magnetism, Tree Gnome Village, and access to Adamant Gloves. Once you get into the 71 to 100 total level world, you're going to get Dragon Slayer 1, the Grand Tree, Monkey Madness 1, and access to Dragon Gloves, among a few other quests. And once you get into the final total level world, you're going to get Barrow's Gloves. Now that said, you can complete these quests at any point, and there's no restrictions to that. However, they are going to be automatically unlocked if you wait and get a higher combat level. Now on top of an experience rate multiplier, one thing they're introducing in Deadman mode Reborn is the idea of a drop rate modifier. So to help speed up the event and make things flow a little better, there's going to be a 4 times drop rate multiplier on most desirable PVM items, ranging from Chambers of Xeric rewards, God Wars, Revenants, Barrows, pretty much anything you'd want for PvP has a 4 times drop rate multiplier, which I think is pretty interesting. Now, probably one of the biggest things that sets Deadman Reborn apart from other Deadman mode tournaments is the addition of sigils. Now, sigils are going to be kind of similar to relics from a RuneScape league, however, there are going to be a few key differences to them. Now, sigils are going to offer buffs for your account, and they could be either combat related, skilling related, or another helpful buff. Sigils come in 3 separate tiers, each one being stronger than the last. That said, to acquire higher tier sigils, you'll need to be on higher combat level worlds, which means probably you're not going to get a tier 3 sigil on one of the lower level combat worlds. Now, unlike relics from leagues, sigils are not going to be a permanent selection, and you'll be able to swap them out at a bank whenever you feel like it. And on top of that, they are tradable, which means you can go ahead and buy them right from the Grand Exchange. Now, when you first log into Deadman mode, or after completely losing your last life and dying, you're going to get to select a tier 2 sigil. Now, you will be able to have 3 sigils active at once, however only 2 of them can be combat related, which means there's going to be quite a few opportunities to gain additional sigils. Sigils are simply going to be dropped from NPCs, which means PVM is still going to be very important, but the fact that they are tradable makes them pretty much accessible to anybody who can make a bit of money. Now, because death is punishing, when you lose all 3 lives, your sigils are also going to be gone as well, so don't get too attached. Now, one thing that actually looks like has been walked back a bit is how exactly single-way combat would work in Deadman mode. Now, with the original proposal of Deadman Reborn, all single-way combat zones were going to be singles plus, which meant that if you were in combat with a NPC and a PKer came along, they would still be able to attack you even though you were in combat in a single-way area. Now, with that said, they redacted that and changed it back to a regular singles area everywhere except for the Revenant Cave. Now, that is pretty much it for most of the new mechanics, however there's still quite a few minor things that are changing with the original Deadman mode formula. The core of Deadman mode is still the same, there are still going to be bank keys, and those operate in a fairly similar fashion to how they always have. If you kill another player, you will obtain their bank key, and you can have up to 5 of them at a time before claiming them in a bank. However, in Deadman Reborn, when you attack another player, you're going to get a PK skull for only 5 minutes, and if you successfully kill another player, you're going to get a 1-minute immunity from being attacked to give you time to loot. Now, in previous Deadman mode tournaments, there was often quite a bit of restricted content. These measures were put in place to help prevent certain metas during the Deadman finale. However, this time they're pretty much removing all restrictions, barring a few, and the things that are restricted aren't really major pieces of content. So similar to other Deadman mode tournaments, Deadman Reborn is simply a means to, well, have fun, but also qualify for the Deadman finale. So the Deadman mode tournament is going to last for 1 month. It's going to be starting on August 25th and going all the way through till September 25th, roughly. Now, importantly, there's going to be no separate tournament event, which means the account that you train during the Deadman Reborn season is going to be the same account you use during the finale, which means if you die right before the finale starts, that is going to suck for you. Now, the multi-combat final hour is removed entirely. They've totally scrapped that idea. While on paper it sounded kind of cool, in reality it's way too confusing for anyone to understand anything, including the players participating in it. Instead of that, simply the top 2,000 ranked players will be entered into the finale. This is going to be based on your total level and high score ranking. Now, the Deadman mode finale is simply going to be 1v1 matches, which will eventually narrow down the 2,000 players to 1,000, the 1,000 to 500, and then there's going to be the round of 256, the round of 128, the round of 64, the round of 32, 16, quarterfinals, semifinals, and then eventually the finals where the Deadman Reborn victor will be crowned. There's going to be a fairly substantial prize pool. First place is going to get $20,000, second place is going to get $10,000, third and fourth place are both going to get $1,000 each. So that's pretty much it for the broad strokes of the Deadman mode tournament. Now, Jagex has been adding in a ton of questions and answers to the poll blog, and there are dozens of them, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but there will be a link in the description if you want to read through every single minor change to Deadman Reborn. But the few questions that I personally had that have been answered is, first up, is prayer considered a combat skill for Deadman Reborn? Yes, it is, which means you're going to both lose the experience when you lose your last life. However, it's also going to benefit from a much higher experience rate. Is there any sort of new player protection within Deadman Reborn? Yes, there are, but there are different levels to it. When you make a brand new account, you're only going to be given 15 minutes of protection so not that much. However, when you advance to a new combat world, you're going to get a full hour of protection. And finally here, if you wipe and lose all of your lives, you're also going to be given 15 minutes of protection. Now finally here, something that isn't explicitly mentioned in the poll blog, but is in the question and answers, is similar to previous Deadman mode tournaments, there's going to be a global Deadman drop table, which is going to include the Ancient Warrior weapons, however not the armor. And in addition to that, a few days ago, they've also added in the Mage's Book and the Master Wand to the global drop table. Anyway guys, that is it for my recap on the Deadman Reborn tournament. I'm actually pretty excited to see how this turns out. It looks like there's a lot of interesting changes. They're trying out a ton of new things here, and you know, I might hop on and try to flip some of the sigils. I think that'd be kind of fun content. Anyway guys, thanks for watching as always, and I will see you next time. Now before I go here, I want to give a massive thank you to all of my members over on YouTube. Thank you so much to Guy Fox, Wolf of the Hunt, Timothy Chen, Ocelot, and Kush Patel for all being subscribed at the Dragon tier. Always appreciate you guys. Thanks again so much. Also a giant thank you to CJ Ruse, Mexos, Bratton Graffin, NDM1, Yo-Yo Sub 89, and Base Titch for all being subscribed at the Runite tier. Again, means a lot guys, always appreciate it. And of course, thank you to anyone else supporting me in one way or another. As always, if you guys are looking for another way to support the channel, becoming a YouTube member is a great way to do so. You can become immortalized in all of my future videos, get access to my video release schedule, and of course, get a custom role in my Discord server. Thanks again guys, and I will see you next time.